Welcome to another episode of the Online Prosperity Experience podcast. You're about to hear your host, Prosper Taravinga's powerful digital marketing strategies and actionable tactics that you can use right now. Prosper has helped more than 50,000 people from over 10 countries to create meaningful businesses that are profitable and enjoyable. Listen to this podcast so that you too can build your own business with less stress and overwhelm. Let's get started.
Marketing strategies that might not be effective for coaches. Now, I understand this is like an oxymoron or like a bait switch, like a flippity, pancake flip. Why would there be strategies that don't work for coaches, especially those that are just getting started? Yes, my friend, you've heard that right, okay? I don't mean to pop your bubble. However, there are many marketing strategies out there that are not well suited for somebody who's just getting started. And that's the reason why a lot of people don't quite go past the 3-year mark, especially when it comes to creating a business. And that's the reason why we're going to be dispelling all of those marketing strategies that are sold to new coaches without them knowing whether it is that they actually work for them or not. So if you're passionate about doing the work that you're meant to be doing and living an inspired life while you're doing that, you're in the right place, my friend. My name is Prosper, and my mission is to help inspired coaches and consultants like you to build a brand that you're proud of and create a lifestyle that you love. And one of the things that I would want to do is make sure that you're not wasting your time on marketing strategies that are not even going to move the needle for you, especially if you're just getting started as a coach. And I know it's pretty much beyond the scope of what a lot of people have been telling you out there, because they just want to sell something to you. Well, I'm not like that, okay? I just really want you to create a business that you're proud of and a business that's profitable and enjoyable. So here are at least 5 coach marketing strategies that don't actually work for new coaches, and I really want you to pay attention to number 5. Okay, so like I said, I don't mean to pop your bubble or anything else, but they are many coaching marketing gurus out there. Trust me, anyone with a pair of sweatpants and a t-shirt can call themselves a coach, and half of the time they're only selling you things that have either worked for them, stuff they've read in a book, or stuff they've seen other people do and they're just implementing it. And if they're the first to go to market with a strategy or something that they haven't actually tried, guess what? They go with it. Now, let me tell you how marketing actually works. Marketing starts giving you positive results after 3 years. If something is giving you results maybe in the first year or the second year, well, obviously that's what do they call it when it's first time luck, okay? But marketing actually real strategies actually start working in the 3rd year mark, and this has been proven. So if you start doing email marketing, if you start doing podcasting, if you start doing any content marketing, year number 1, you're trying it out, you're looking out for the you're gaining your sort of stride. Year number 2, you're now in flow, and you now learned all the mistakes and everything else that needs to happen. And year number 3, that's when you actually start profiting. Yes, you might have some short-term, gains in between, but when you actually want a marketing strategy to actually start working, especially if you're a small to medium business or you're just getting started, have 3 months, and that's 3 years, and that's a golden rule, okay? So you really have to have a long-term strategy with every, plan that you put in place, because you're not just doing this, so that you can buy Christmas presents this year. I don't think so, all right? So you're really doing it so that you can make a difference to those that you love and actually create a meaningful existence, for yourself and for your team and for your loved ones. All right. So I don't mean, like I said, to pop your bubble. However, there's a lot of noise out there from the gurus, what the ones we call people from the guru casino. That's just there in the shape of maybe business coaches, or coaches for business coaches, or coaches for coaches that coach other coaches that coach things. Oh, I don't know. It's just too many layers out there, and at the end of the day, they're just purveying nonsense that actually doesn't work. And you notice that at the end of the day, you are stuck with maybe a strategy where you find yourself cold calling potential clients and having everybody hang up in your face, or you're sending out hundreds of emails and not even getting as much as, hey, thank you so much for reaching out, and you're wasting thousands of dollars on ad spend without even generating any qualified leads because somebody told you a specific strategy works, and it only worked on you because you fell for it. Okay, and most of them are just selling strategies that will never work, especially for a new coach. And you want to know why? Because most of the strategies and most of the coaches and gurus, they have forgotten what it's like to start off with zero, with no resources, and work your way up. All right. You see, at the end of the day, most of these coaches already have lists. They already have, relationships. They already have, teams that are executing on all of these things. Now, if you're just getting started, you don't have all of these resources. You don't have, people that balance your books. You don't have all of that stuff. I can imagine if you're just starting. Marketing is just one aspect of running a successful business. You go from hiring and managing new staff, you're balancing books, you're driving growth, and a whole lot more. And it all feels like a constant balancing act, and you're pulled in multiple different directions. And all these gurus have forgotten this, because what they do is they know that every month they have to have a campaign that goes out to an already, indoctrinated audience. You've probably been on their list for years and years, and they just put out a case study of something that worked for them, and then they tell you that if you come on this webinar, you too will be able to get those results. It doesn't work like that. All right, at the end of the day, most of the strategies have taken years and years and years to perfect. Even just putting together a podcast like this, I kid you not, 2014, if my Facebook profile was still in existence, I used to practice speaking in front of a mic, doing a Facebook Live every single day. And I've got 234 or so episodes on YouTube, okay? So me just showing up on this podcast and then you thinking, oh, yeah, I could do that. It's not like that. This has been years and years and years in the making, all right? So now it's a strategy that I can now put on top of what I'm already doing. Because when you receive this podcast, maybe it's on Spotify or Apple or whatever it is, what then happens is you are taken to one of my landing pages, and most of these landing pages have been on my website for more than 2 years, for 3 years, or for 4 years. All right. And it's not something that I just put together today because I had a topic to talk about. And the reason why I'm talking about this, particular subject is because I actually got off a call with somebody who's getting started in the coaching industry. And then they were telling me, oh, I want to do this. And I was like, wait a minute. Can you show me your website? They just have a one-pager. Can you show me at least some sort of a lead magnet? They've got something they've put together on ClickFunnels. Can you show me, your email marketing list? They've got like an affiliate thing that they were doing before they decided they wanted to be a coach. So it's just piecing together strategies that people are telling you, and they don't have a legitimate strategy in and of their own. They don't have, something to do or something to offer when the people show up and they want to work with you. Let me tell you something. Most of the strategies that we have, or that we're told, or that we're exposed to, only work based on what you have done before. All right. See, now the reason why I'm passionate about helping coaches and consultants and small to medium businesses grow their businesses, because I know what it's like to come from nothing. You see, I was born in a small town in Zimbabwe in Africa, and for me growing up, life was pretty tough. We didn't have a lot of money or a lot of resources, and I never thought I would amount to anything because we had no one that I could look up to in the form of role models that could actually inspire me to expand my horizons. But my life actually changed when a bright-eyed Australian teacher came to work at my school when I was 13, and she literally showed me without telling me that you can be, do, and have a happier existence outside of the little cocoon that I'd grown accustomed to. She actually told me about Australia and all the other incredible opportunities that it had to offer, and taught me that there's a whole nother world outside of my small little town. You know what I mean? And there's a whole world of infinite possibilities for people who dream big and had the courage to follow their dreams. All I knew was what was around me. All I knew was what I was exposed to. And none of that would have worked. None of that would have become the person I have become today. So that's the reason why I take particular, care for people that are getting started, because getting started, you're exposed to all of these things. But if somebody doesn't tell you what is the next logical step, what is the right step to do, and so that you don't, have a lot of false starts or, end up, just burning a lot of bridges, spending a lot of money that you don't have actually, and actually, spraying and praying with your marketing and eventually giving up because, that thing didn't work. So a lot of these coaches don't quite know what it is, to get started or to start from the bottom. And some are still selling strategies that might have worked for them 6 years ago. Okay, 6 years ago, Facebook Live, people will pay attention. You know why? Because it was new. 6 years ago, organic reach with Facebook was something of note. Groups were actually working. Now, all of those things are now a thing of the past. Answering questions on Quora or all of those things used to work before ChatGPT came into play. Those were the internet years. That was like, maybe like when the internet was still maturing and everybody was in awe. If you would listen to somebody's podcast, you would listen all the way through to the end. You'd watch videos all the way to the end, and you'd sit around, watch whatever videos were there. But now that any person with a smartphone can shoot a video, the attention, the noise, everything else has just bombarded people's attention spans on the internet then. So those strategies that used to work 6 years ago don't work no more. You know what I mean? And then we've just gone past the pandemic. Maybe the way the customer journey has been disrupted. The customer now determines, where they get their information from. It's no longer a top-down, one-to-many, sort of strategy that TV would have worked before, or that the first years of the internet worked before. These days, you have to show people you can help them by actually helping them. You have to be there. You know what I mean? It's just so many things that need to happen before you can actually have the opportunity to get in touch, with an audience, or to actually get somebody else's attention. All right. So this is a topic really, really close to my heart, because when I first started online, there's actually pictures of me crying, in front of a group of students that had just been recruited to a course, which ended up being a wheel spinner anyway, because they gave us this opportunity to talk about what we want our ideal day to become. Well, let me tell you something. Truth be told, the reason I was crying there was because I really could see myself becoming what I have become, creating a business that's profitable and enjoyable, just showing up to do my podcast, making time around my kids, making time around skateboarding with my kids, riding bikes with my kids and things like that. That's what I wrote to be, my ideal day. You know what I mean? And so, like I said, when I started online, I didn't quite have a lot of people to show me around, and I had to piece together things from people that were already well established. I used to learn from Dan Kennedy. I used to learn from Frank Kern, and to be to be very honest, I was in Frank Kern's membership thing that costed me about $400 every single month. $400 that I didn't have, but I wanted to learn from them. And then I realized, wait a minute, I could just buy books for $4 and I could learn so much without the pressure of wanting to consume all that content so that I get a return of my investment. So that's why I say this topic is near and dear to my heart, because when I first started online, although I had, maybe about 2 or 3 sort of years of experience in sort of some sort of marketing industry and social media, I decided to maybe get a coach. I decided to work with somebody that was already far advanced and had done it before, so that I could fast forward my success. But after a couple of years, I actually realized that they were actually slowing me down. All right. They were wanting me to work with them at a slow pace so that they keep billing me. All right. And trying to follow strategies that yield little results and barely worked for anyone. And they wanted to take me around with them to all the events they were doing. And I was like their show pony. You know what I mean? And, it just really drained me so much. And I didn't get much from that relationship, although I learned something. I learned what not to do, which is what a lot of people don't pay attention to, all right? And pretty much after that, I then created my own digital agency as an alternative to businesses that were already burnt out and that were already not really achieving the goals that they wanted to achieve. So I just decided to listen to my gut, and I followed my own preferences, and I just started testing out using content marketing, using email marketing, using social media, and I was blogging and really creating a foundation for my business. I was creating the content that I wished I had found, when I was getting started, and little did I know that I was actually doing a marketing, strategy, which means that if you're embarrassed or struggling with something, that is the actual thing that people will come to you for. And before I knew it, Live Long Digital was created. And I started working with other businesses that were going through the same problems that I was going through. And the only thing, like I said, that I didn't know was how long it was going to take, all right, to actually start really performing at the level that I went. And, most people tell you it will take 3 months, it will take 2 months, or whatever it is, but it takes years and years for you really understanding who your target market is, clarifying your message. And once you've gotten that, knowing specifically what you want your target market to ask you to do for them. And you don't learn this in a book. You don't learn this, in a course or some sort of shiny object. You learn this by doing. All right. And today, let me tell you something. I book 3 clients a week easily with maybe a 90-minute of a discovery call a week, 30 minutes spaced around, because I've done the work. I've written the emails. I've done the podcasts. I've done the whole, baseline of what people actually want, and have found the information, and they've proved to themselves that I'm the right person to solve the problems that they have. And I often have to sometimes close my calendar to stop people from booking. I kid you not. It's because there's so much that I've put out there that it's now coming back, in full force. But if I tell somebody that, okay, make yourself scarce. If I tell somebody, don't be on social media, it doesn't pay, it might not be their journey, because I was on social media for a very long time, and then I took myself off, and then people started seeking me out. And I think in the last 2 years, that's when I actually started, having people call me up and say, hey, we don't see you that much. And you've heard this from other podcasts when I talk about this. All right. So the strategy I created for myself worked, and it still works now. And I would never teach a strategy that I had and is inherent to me. When I know something is going to work, what happens? I actually start getting goosebumps. How can I tell you to start getting goosebumps? How can I tell you to start feeling your gut, and follow your instinct? Because I don't know what your journey is. So that's the reason why some of these strategies don't work, especially when you're getting started. You need to find your stride. And then pretty much after that, you can then start using tactics and strategies that were already there and just enhance and amplify what you're already doing. I mean, obviously, that's going to be a topic for another podcast, because today I just wanted to help to pinpoint what you shouldn't be buying as a new coach. All right. So here are some of the 5 things that I think don't work for new coaches, which you might have been tempted to buy. The first thing is offering a free coaching session to everyone. I mean, while this might seem like it's a great way to get exposure and attract potential clients, you don't get paid for exposure, my friend. Because if you offer free sessions to anyone and everyone, it can actually be counterproductive, because people might not take the offer seriously. People pay attention, when they have paid, all right? If they haven't paid, they're not going to be serious about it. I was giving a lot of free consultation, free trials, and I literally got my business shut down, because I couldn't afford to pay, the next set of bills that I had for almost 2 months. And then I resuscitated it because I was giving people free services, and, the supplier now was on my case. So people might not take the offer seriously, or may not even be genuinely interested in the service, but they're just feeling sorry for you because you've got that thing, you've offered, and people feel bad to say no when somebody has offered. So this approach can also attract people who are not in your target audience and who are just looking for some free coaching and will never even leave a review for you anyway. So you want to try and start getting people that have actually paid you that you want to concentrate on. And then there's also another thing that doesn't work, especially if you're new. Cold calling or cold emailing doesn't work. If somebody doesn't recognize your name or doesn't recognize your business, you will just be cold calling potential clients, and then they're hanging up in your face. Put some content out there first, and then ask people, if they have seen it. All right. You can use LinkedIn to reach out to people depending on what sort of your target market is. Because if you're just reaching out to people, you're being a nuisance. You're just interrupting people who are already busy. All right. If your name becomes synonymous to the activities that you're doing, then guess what? People will stop whatever they're doing because you are now a well-known name that has reached out to them. Because if you're just spraying and praying with your marketing and you haven't received any permission, to market to people, it can actually be regarded as intrusive and also maybe perceived as spam. And there's rules around that stuff. So if you keep spending spam to people, not only are you only blacklisting your email address, but you're also blacklisting yourself. You will literally be shooting yourself in the foot before you even get started. So this approach might work, but it works for people that have given information in advance. And this approach is less effective in building trust and any connection that you might have to potential clients. And one other thing that also happens is, yes, this is counterintuitive to everything that you might have known as a coach, right? Focusing too much on social media can actually be a detriment to your growth and to the success of your business, because social media is actually a powerful marketing tool, but it's important to use it strategically. You know what happens? We get bogged down in the drama. We get bogged down in whatever is happening. We end up just scrolling through, social media, trying to copy other people and watching fights on TikTok and things like that. You know what I mean? So you want to focus too much. You want to focus on building stuff for your business so that when you bring people from the social media, at least they've got something to consume on your website. It's like inviting people to a party and you don't even have a DJ. You don't even have snacks for them to snack on. You don't even have a place for them to sit. What are you inviting people to if you haven't got resources, if you haven't got blogs, if you haven't got podcasts on your own website before, if you're inviting people from social media? So if you focus too much on social media, it can actually be overwhelming and time consuming, because you never know at what point in somebody's journey or stage of their business they are, and you might just want to copy a strategy that doesn't work for you. All right, like I said, yes, you might hear this podcast and think, oh yeah, I want to start doing podcasts, but for me, this podcast is literally a free tool for prospects. Okay, I'm using this to engage with you. Now you know who I am. Now you know what it is that I like. Now you know how I can help you. I can now easily invite you to schedule a call with me so that we can chat about how you can take advantage of all of this. So instead of you just scrolling and scrolling on your social media and just being overwhelmed, especially if you're a new coach, you might not have a clear understanding of who your target audience is, and you might think that what other people are doing actually works. You need to find prospects and increase, their awareness. You need to identify your target market. You need to clarify your message and then determine what media you're going to be using to approach those people. And when you show up at those places, you need to have enough tools set up within your business so you can turn those prospects into leads that will eventually buy from you. So you need to be creating a lead capturing funnel. You need to be creating a nurturing system. You need to be creating a sales conversion strategy so that you can then retain those customers and turn them into clients that pay, stay, and refer. All right. And then eventually you'll be able to deliver a world-class service. You'll be increasing the customer value because it's easier for you to sell to people that already know, like, and trust you than trying to sell to people that don't quite know you as yet. All right. So talking about, that some people just look at other people's websites and then they just copy, other people's websites with no clear strategy. And sometimes they copy word for word what other people have written because they think that it works. Having a website is really essential for you as a coach because that's your real estate online. But it's actually important to have a clear strategy in place before you actually start creating one. So without a clear strategy, a website might not actually attract the right kind of people with the right kind of pain, and it might not be able to communicate what it is that you do and what you want your target audience to ask you to do for them effectively. So all of this, you might just see somebody's website and it's always bang and everything else, and you're like, oh my God, I want to jump onto that. And then before you know it, you can't, you are now just yet another has been or a has run. Okay. And the last thing that a lot of coaches don't do is they're not building relationships. You're going to need relationships with people that know law. You're going to need relationships with people that know marketing. You're going to need relationships with people that know human resources, accounting, whatever you need in your business. There's somebody who's willing and able to help you out. But if you don't have those relationships, then how are they going to know that you need help? So if you're not building relationships and you're just spraying and praying on social media, sending random messages to people, to your course or whatever it is that hasn't been proven, you're just wasting your time. You need to build relationships, and this is very critical for coaches because then you get referrals. Then you get people that can actually help you define and determine what your actual target market is and really help you clarify your message. And especially for those that are just starting, you never know if your message is a home run or is actually making people turn because you haven't tested it on humans. All right. So the more relationships you have with people that have already been in the industry, you can copy some things that they're doing because apparently we are the average of the 5 people that we spend the most time with. And if you're just spending time with people that already know you, people that are in your family, that don't want to hurt your feelings, then you're not going to be growing. All right. So, and some people, especially, new coaches, they rely solely on advertising because that's what they learned in whatever course that they were learning, or maybe other marketing strategies that actually limit your exposure. And you might not actually be effective in building long-term relationships with your potential clients. Let me tell you what advertising does. Advertising amplifies what's already working, not trying to teach people something, that they haven't been exposed to. All right. So once something is working, like I said, real marketing strategies take 3 years to actually perfect. And once you've got that, in play, you, my friend, will actually be creating for and relating to the audience that you're demanding money off of. And like I said, right, you start getting people scheduling calls with you because you've created pathways for people to start, their journey with you. It might take 3 years, it might take 3 months, it might take 3 days, but as long as you are starting journeys with people every single day, you, my friend, will create a business that's profitable and enjoyable. And it has to be something that is intricately according to how you want to run your business, how you want to, create the difference and transformations in people's lives. All right. So if you're a new coach and you want to take advantage of all of this, why don't you schedule a call with me, and we can literally sit down and work hands-on and develop a strategic plan, and then deep dive and work through your ideal client clarity, because that's very, very important. If you know who you are speaking to and who needs what you're selling, that is half of your marketing struggle done. And once you know who they are, you now get to learn to speak to them and understand where you can find them. So I'll work with you with your strategic messaging, and also look at your coaching or consulting fees and pricing, just so that you are aligned with the right kind of person with the right kind of pain, who is willing and able to buy from you. And then pretty much I will help you set up your business model optimization so that you are prepared and geared for success. All right. So if you are top heavy, your business will implode into itself. You need to set the foundation that you need before you actually go out there and start inviting people to try out what it is that you've got to offer them. And then pretty much after all this is set up, I will then help you set up your marketing engine and lead generation system so you can consistently attract ideal clients. All right. So yes, there are marketing methods out there, but they might not work for you, especially if you're only just getting started, in the coaching sector there. And overall, I want you to note this. It is really important for coaches to have a clear understanding of who their target audience is, what their value proposition is, and most effective way to communicate their message to these potential clients. And it takes time to figure that out. All right. Because for me, I tried blogging, I tried videos and everything else, and I noticed I'm really good on the mic. I'm really good at showing up consistently. And now this is the only thing that I do within my business. And then all the other things, like blogging and everything else is just repurposed from what I would have said from my podcast. But it takes time for you to find your stride. And it's also important to be patient and very consistent in your marketing efforts, and then focus on building relationships with your potential clients. I don't know what you're going to do with this information. Yes, I might have obviously burst your bubble, in you trying to get started on marketing strategies or, things that might not work for you. But let me tell you something. I have over a decade of experience creating websites, writing blogs that convert, and ranking that content on the first page of Google. I know a thing or two about generating more traffic, about generating more clients, and, making sure that people get discovery calls. And I know that because this is something that I've been working on over and over and over, and I have even perfected my own method, and I'm wanting the same for you. All right. So I'm hoping that these marketing strategies that I was talking about, yes, you might be using them and not getting any results. That's correct. That's all right, because they do not work for new coaches. And I don't know what you're going to do with this information, but bye for now.
Thank you for joining us today. If you have any questions, let's continue the conversation in the Live Long Digital community. Become a Live Long Digital community member today. This community is for ambitious entrepreneurs and small business owners with the drive to take control of the future of their businesses and achieve huge success without stress and overwhelm. As you heard, Prosper can help you by teaching you marketing strategies that work. So look no further than the Live Long Digital community of entrepreneurs and highly successful business owners. Join our community today. Find us on www.community.livelongdigital.com.au. Network with other driven entrepreneurs and find the expert guidance you need to take your business to the next level. www.community.livelongdigital.com.au